Oh no, time zones. Oh my God. All right, we'll give another minute for people to trickle in. All right, let's get this started. Today is October 24th. This is the Giveth governance call. My name is Mitch, and I will be facilitating. And we'll kick things off with some check-ins, how you're feeling, what your focus is this week, and your intentions for this call. I am feeling great. And focus for this week is Solidity Bootcamp, default donations, DAO stats, and probably something around Give Power ranking. And GiveFi. And intention for the call is to facilitate. And I will pass it to Lauren.
Thank you, Mitch. My focus for the week is Give Power mostly. I want to try to get boosting out and make all the issues organized and make sure we're getting testing. So I'm going to try really hard to not get distracted by so many comms things and people asking me questions and to have to review things. So my focus for the week is to set harder boundaries around like the time that I'm putting into things and what I'm putting my time into, because I'm very unhappy. And my focus for the call is just to go along for the ride with Mitch and provide any feedback as necessary. And I'll pass it to Griff.
Yeah, I'm feeling great. I'm so excited for the time zone change. I think I'm hoping to push everything to go an hour later. So that'll be fun, at least for us, and the same time for Europe and US. So I'm feeling excited about that. That's one of my topics that I want to bring up and focus of this week is making sure the schedule doesn't screw up across all of my commitments. And then I'm also excited about a new project called Budget Box. That's kind of a GiveFi research thing that I'll bring up in the research call. And as far as focus for the week is fundraising. Got the deck together and going to start pushing it out and do more investor calls. That's always my focus of every week until we get investment. And we'll pass it over to Corey.
Hey, thanks. I'm feeling really good today. No complaints. My focus for the week is definitely got my eye on Give Power. Really excited to see how things go. I'm keeping up with that from the comm side. And focus for the call is just to pay attention and see what needs support. And I will go ahead and pass this to Jake.
Cool, thanks, Corey. Feeling tired. Had a long weekend with some family in town. Focus this week is, like Griff, fundraising, looking into Polygon grants, as well as got some donor follow-up from the survey to work on. And intentions for the call, whatever you give us, Mitch. Always interested in that. I will pass it along to Santi.
Thank you, Jake. Feeling much better this week. I was sick during the past 2 weeks, just recovering here. Focus for the week is the PFP collection together with Tropical Mango and hopefully getting engaged and talk with the development team to see how we can create that minting page for the collection launch. And I'll pass it to Suga.
Thanks, Santi. Hi, everybody. I am here to stay abreast of governance issues. And for the week, I am working on what is Giveth and updating the Giveth roadmap for the docs. And I didn't mention, the first question, how am I doing? Yeah, just trying to stay above water these days, but doing okay. And I will pass to Heather.
Hello, everyone. I'm feeling good, feeling focused, ready to jump into a busy Monday. And my intentions for the call is to listen to other DAO proposals that are going on, and then to also present my DAO proposal with creating a work DAO partnership and just explain their services more and get a pulse on people's opinions and ideas, and also gather questions that we can ask WorkDAO during a potential town hall with them. So I will pass to Fresh Out.
Hi everyone, happy Monday. I'm feeling good, and my focus for this week is payroll, payments, and also looking back for early contributors data to update the paid time off for them. And yeah, that's also one of my intentions for this call, is to discuss more about the forum post up about the paid time off for them. And I'll pass it to Tropical Mango.
I think Katia mentioned that she was feeling a bit sick. So I don't think she's gonna
Pass it to Ashley.
Go ahead.
Hey.
Oh, Ashley, go ahead.
Yeah. I'm also feeling a bit sick this morning. I'm kind of crummy. I think I caught a stomach bug or something. My focus for this week is mostly mandatory updates and seeing how we can get projects to start adding more updates. So comms around that, and changing some verification stuff with Nicola, working on Meet the Makers stuff and events coming up for community. And my intentions for the call, just to stream and sync up, listen in, and I will pass it to, let's see, who hasn't gone yet? Nico?
Thanks, Ashley. Yes, GM everyone. I also feel a little under the weather today, but yeah, it's manageable. My focus will be buddy calls, facilitation, onboarding a new hire this week, and our HR call on Thursdays. So my intention for this call is to be on the loop and be updated. Thank you. Passing it back to Kari. Passing it to Kari.
No, maybe we'll pass it to Danny.
Sure. Can you hear me?
You're just a little bit quiet, but I'll turn you up here on my computer.
Great. I'm feeling great. I'm on top of the weather. And let's see. Oh, I don't have my thing open. Hi. I am focusing this week on putting some time and attention into what's been being tested and understanding the give power and the boosting. Haven't really been paying attention to those channels a whole lot in the last bit. So I'd like to understand what's going on there. And of course, as always, chime in on proposals. And that's about it. And also pay attention to praise. I want to dive in and take a look at the praise a little bit, connect with Franco. That's what I got. I'll pass it back to you, Mitch.
Sure thing. Let's fire it over to Alman.
Me, right? Or Ahmad? Me?
No, Alman.
Okay. I'm feeling good. My focus this week will be to work in with the community working group in some plans that we have to get more engagement towards the community. And my intention for this goal would be to share my role proposal, to invite everyone to check it out. And yeah, that's it. And I'll pass it to Nico. Nico did already went. Nico already went. To I think Claire.
Yeah, you got it.
Thanks, Almond. Hi, everyone. I'm feeling good today. A little tired after the weekend, but otherwise good. My focus for this week is going to be to look at the working group costs compared to the budget and see how we can get the most out of this information. Got some content uploads for social media, and I would also like to do some analysis to better understand projects' experience of fundraising on Giveth and see if we can find a process for creating some kind of ongoing feedback loop. And my focus for this call is just to stay up to date with all things governance. And I think I am probably the last one, but I'm sending it back to you, Mitch, anyway, just in case.
No, we got an Amin.
Hello, thank you. My intention is to talk about the worked out proposal that Heather has prepared. And yeah, that's it. Being updated. Let's pass it back to you, Mitch.
And we just got a Kai that snuck in.
Yeah. Hey, just checking in. Let's do some governance. You don't want to hear what I do this week. It's a boring thing as any week. I'm gonna check out DNS stuff and Netlify cleanup.
Wow, so exciting.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, we got everybody here. I think everyone's been counted for. And let's begin. Priority agenda items, time zones. Oh, God. Take it away, Griff.
Great news! The U.S. is changing time zones for the last time ever, which is nice. U.S. is changing time zones. I don't know when Mexico changes their time zone, actually. I know they change it. Mexico time.
Did they get rid of it?
They're trying to get rid of it.
Yeah, Mexico. Actually, thank God, Mexico changes the same day as everybody else. So, Mexico, U.S., Europe, everyone's changing on October 30th. So next week, there's probably a lot of conflicts in our schedule because some calendar events were made by people in Costa Rica and some were made by people in countries whose time zones change. And so we have an opportunity this week to really decide what time we want all of the calls to be. Do we want to move the community call back an hour, or does it stay in the same place? And what does it even mean to move back an hour? Back an hour according to who? Yes, these things.
Wait, sorry, Griff. Did you say? From what I looked up, they're not on the same date. You're saying they're on the same date?
At least Mexico says it's on Sunday, and I looked up Europe and the U.S. They're not on the same date in the spring, but in the fall they are, I believe.
Okay, so I see it for USA is November 6th.
Really?
And Europe is, yes, October 30th, but I think America is a week after that. If you double check. So that just makes it worse.
I've got the calendar here open, and thankfully the Google Calendar usually takes into account time zone changes.
Yeah.
So we can see all of our scheduled conflicts here. Starting on Monday, okay. General Magic is going to be during the DAP sprint planning. The PFP meeting is going to be during sprint planning. The governance meeting looks to be fine. So Comms is fine. Community builders is fine. These are just the meetings that are in the Giveth calendar. I don't know what's going on with your calendar, Griff, but.
Well, the thing is that for some people that means it's going up an hour, and for other people it's staying in the same place, right? So like, my conflicts are with Common Stack and token engineering commons, and all these things are moving. But Suga, you are right. It is November 6th. So that means that we might even have conflicts the week after that. In fact, yeah, it looks like if you go to the next week, things move up. Like the governance meeting is an hour later in Costa Rica on the 7th than it was. If you go to the next week, yeah. The one give call happens during the comms call. There's, yeah. I don't know. My main thing is, hey, watch out. And if you run a meeting, this is a great time, and you don't like the time, or if there's any meetings that you don't like the time of, this is a great time to change it. I think that's all that needs to be said. But at least for the community call, do we want to keep it where it is?
It's Heather here. I think we should personally keep it the same because otherwise it gets really late for people in the Philippines and the Middle East. And I'd like to be friendly of their time zone.
Okay, so for the community call, it will, for people in Europe, Mexico, and the US, it will actually go forward an hour.
Okay, that's fine.
In here, if we're looking, it's at 9 a.m. as opposed to 10, I think it was.
Yeah, because you're in Mexico. So your time changed. But for like Costa Rica, it's 9 a.m. the whole time because it's set in Costa Rica time.
I think, I mean, I'm not going to speak for everybody, but 9 a.m. seems fine if there's no conflicts. Only maybe the West Coast people might gripe, but I don't think anybody is really on the West Coast.
Huh?
No. Willie in Denver, I think, will be the earliest person.
Yeah.
Because Costa Rica moves to Mexico and Chicago.
I'm going to get definitely screwed up.
Jake definitely votes with Heather here because being over in Georgia, that would be wonderful. And I'm sure the guys in the Middle East agree as well.
Okay. So then I just want to wrap this up because we're 20 minutes in. I think it seems like we don't need to move anything for the community call. You know, it'll be easier to keep it as is. And again, Heather has a really valid point. And then what Griff is saying is like, if you lead a call, then take this opportunity to check if there's any conflicts and take some initiative to move your call if it's going to create conflicts. And Europe is changing the 30th and US is changing the 6th. Right.
This is the week, guys. If there's a call and you don't like the time, change it. Duocracy. Make it happen.
Okay. All right. Moving on.
Hear me! Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Oh hey. The one thing, this call itself is moving back an hour on. So, yeah. Apparently, it was set in Chicago time. I don't know who was in Chicago at the time that they made this meeting, but so this on apparently in the calendar on not next week, but the weekend.
Oh my god.
It's fine. It doesn't seem to have any conflicts, but I can see it moves from 10 to 9 next week.
Oh my god. Shit.
Okay.
Sorry, everybody.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna let Suga process this, and we'll, I'm gonna make the call and move on. Okay. Okay. All right. So moving into the multis. Our governance platforms, we've got Snapshot, our Give DAO, Give Garden, multisigs, token log, everything here. Let's look at it. Multi-sigs, I had a look last night. There is nothing to sign. Snapshot as well, nothing new in there. In the Give Garden, we've got the Doing Good membership proposal, which is set to pass in a little over 10 days. We can speed that up, though, if you guys want to jump in and participate. In the NR Give DAO, we've got 3 active votes. Minting for Heather, approving Franco's role proposal, and the core team compensation for September. And so those are all ready to go and be voted on. And that's it. So if you're in the NR Give DAO or you have some wrapped Give tokens in the Give Garden, go ahead and please vote on those things. And moving on into the forum, right at the top here, we've got the partnership with WorkDAO. And maybe I'll just pass it to Heather.
I'll go ahead and take it. Is it possible for you to go to their slides? I gave you permissions this morning. Yeah, great. So my proposal comes from just hearing a lot of concerns about onboarding our contributors and like how do they deal with their taxes and filing them, how do they deal with like being paid in a stable coin, and then how do they deal with paying for health insurance and then other social benefits. And I met WorkDAO in July this year, and they are an HR solutions DAO. And I think where it gets more meaty, like, is around page 8, is they claim to cover a lot of different all right, sorry, I'm just playing catch up. But let me just see what's going on. Okay, so they claim to cover like 45 different countries, and then they will add another 55 countries by the end of the year. And so that covers like most of our contributors. And there are 2 different options. So the first one you see is the employer of record services. So this option is priced at $599 per contributor per month, and this option is like a step above just doing payroll and like your standard deductions and helping like offboard crypto into fiat for contributors. This goes further in helping contributors access health insurance in their country of residence or their citizenship, and it may also help with different visa issues that we're having with trying to move different contributors to different countries. So this is the option where they can potentially write invitation of employment letters and really like they already have a legal entity in these countries. So they kind of have a front as being an employer, so it's easier for them to help with the immigration services. That being said, there is additional fees that will come along with that depending on the country. So that's kind of a gray area. And then they also said that they might not be able to work with contributors that are from countries that are currently on the U.S. Sanctions list. So that includes our contributors in Iran. And then the cheaper option, I believe, is it's just a payroll service. If you could move the slides. Be up a little bit to 7. Okay. No, sorry. They have a 24-page deck that is kind of redundant and a little. Okay, so I think we did some breakdowns for Canada because that's where some people were interested in immigrating to, and then we also had a lot of contributors in Germany that needed help being tax compliant. So they also did a breakdown for our German contributors, which is the page below. I want to find just their general payroll services, which I think is a lower slide. Oh yeah, there we go, pricing. So these are the 3 different options they have. Their first option is pretty basic, and it's $99 per month per contributor, and that is just basic payroll services. So basically, we would send all of our contributors that opt in, we would send all of their payments on XDI to WorkDAO, and then they would convert it to fiat for the contributor, and then pay the fiat from their legal entity, and then give them a verification of employment depending on what country you're in. In the US, it would be a W-2 or a 1099 depending on the freelancer's choice. And then they also do like standard deductions, like for state tax, for federal taxes, and then also for social benefits as well. So yeah, that's their most basic option. And then their Web3 employment I already explained before. And then their last option is more for people who are being paid in the DAO's token. So I'm curious to understand. Oh, and also just to be clear, their service is 100% opt-in. So it's like, or maybe I didn't say that right, but each contributor has the choice whether to opt in or not. So if we agree to do a partnership with them, it's really like a by contributor basis. And I think for me, the questions that come up is like, who's gonna pay for this? Is this a fee that the contributor is going to take on themselves? Like, are they going to pay the extra $99 a month, or is this something that Giveth is going to take on? And same goes with the Web3 employment option. And overall, my intention is to get an idea of what people are thinking, different ideas, opinions, and start creating a list of questions that people have that we can ask in a free town hall that they offer, and then to also get an idea of when a town hall would be scheduled. So I'm done with my little presentation.
From my side, whether or not Giveth should do it, I think Giveth could subsidize it, but I think most of the cost should be on the contributor. In the end, some people who don't need this, I mean, they don't get the benefit of it, but they should also, so they should get from the Giveth DAO perspective, it's paying an amount per contributor, so I think the contributor, if they need this, that should be something that they pay for. Mostly. I think Giveth could subsidize it, maybe like 10%, 20% or something.
Okay, cool. Thanks for offering that input. That definitely helps with some clarity. So yeah, the contributor would be responsible for, if they take the first option, it would be around like $1,200 a year. And then if Giveth does a subsidy, then it might be maybe around $1,000 a year, give or take.
Great. I think that's a great idea, and I think it makes a lot of sense. Like, if you want it, you can have it, but you'll pay a little bit more out of your salary to get those things and be compliant with whatever you want and get paid in fiat if that's what you want.
Are there any other questions about a partnership with WorkDAO?
Sorry, assume I move to another European country as a kind of job seeker and get their visa. And after that, I use this service as a kind of, regulated employee somewhere in the Europe. Is that possible?
Well, they have offered to help with visa services, like helping people move to different countries. It really does vary by the country. So I do have a specific European country in mind.
I guess, say Netherlands, maybe.
Then yeah, like we would have to ask them specific questions around the Netherlands. In my talks with them, we were just focusing on Canada because at the time that we were in our talks, the general consensus was the majority of contributors were interested in moving to Canada. And I haven't asked them about Turkey yet. I know that's also a new point of interest, but they could potentially help. It does come at a price as well. So.
Yeah, I'm just asking this because if I just move to another country as a job seeker, I can get a visa, for example, for 6 months, and I can do it by myself. And then some legal entity like them, give me a kind of proof to the states that this is our employee, and if I stay there for at least 3 years, I think I can get a kind of nationality maybe, or PR. I was thinking about that.
Okay. I think this seems like a case-by-case issue.
Yeah, you're right, sir.
Yeah.
And I think we can ask this question in a town hall. Like, I'm not someone who is really super in the know of the details of each of their legal entities in every country. But I think this is definitely a good town hall question.
Thank you.
I think so. Then if it's just an opt-in, like a case by case from the contributor, they don't require any specific sort of like funding from the DAO, right? There's not like a general like fee for services. It's more specifically siloed to each contributor.
Yes, it's opt-in.
There's no like setup or installation or monthly fee that the DAO has to pay, really.
Not that I was told of, and it doesn't seem like there's anything that has that kind of language in this deck.
All right. Well, it seems pretty straightforward then. It's like every contributor has the ability to decide if they want to opt in, and then it doesn't seem to. I don't think it'll have a huge impact on the DAO itself, which is great to hear.
Yeah, I don't think it'll have a huge impact on the budget of the DAO, especially if the contributor is responsible for paying the fees.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Heather. Any other questions?
I'm just curious, like with the Web3 payroll one, if it's stable coins, you could get paid in stable coins. Like, how exactly would that work, or what would that mean? They would take the Give tokens and then pay us in stable coins, or?
They accept XDAI, DAI, USD, and USDC for stable coins. For the token, that's a good question. I believe that they would just I guess from my understanding that was only for stable coins, but now I see it says tokens. But yes, that we would like our payroll people would send WorkDAO the amount that contributor was paid for the month in our stable coin, and then they would convert it to fiat and then pay the contributor from their wallet.
Okay. I was curious.
Yeah, or I guess it would be a legal entity, but yeah.
It doesn't seem like it would be like a great solution for stable coin payments instead of it being on Griff's responsibility. So I was just curious if that could be an alternative.
Yeah, that's a good question. I'm not sure if they would accept Give. But we can ask them that.
Yeah. Okay. Great questions. And so what's the next steps for town hall?
For people, which maybe might be a little more difficult with the time changes happening, but generally what days and what times are for people.
Do you want to answer this on a call, or do you want to get this down somewhere?
It'd be great if we could just get it done on a call. I was thinking like the hour before the Giveth community call.
For the Giveth community.
Works for me.
Doesn't work for me.
Okay. Do you want everyone just to start yelling if it works for them or not, or?
I don't know what's the best way. What's the best quorum?
We'll just shoot this up in the governance thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really hard to keep track when everyone just starts yelling. Good for me. Cool. So then that would be, you're saying do it as early as this week or next week then, Heather?
Probably next week, because I have to give them time to prepare questions.
Okay. Okay, good. Hour before community call.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's signaling. Cool. And it'll also be interesting probably for the people that aren't in this call but are probably interested in doing some sort of immigration.
Yeah, I think so.
Cool. All right. Thanks, Heather. I'm going to paste these notes in to our thing. Nice. Okay. 20 minutes left. The future of Giveth Trace. I looked at it this morning and looks like Amin did some awesome work. Where is it? Putting up a spreadsheet of all the funds that are left in Giveth Trace. And let's see if I could find the comment. There it is. And who they belong to, the owner addresses, everything. And Griff was saying we can just withdraw it all to the multi-sig and then do like a mass dispersal. That seems like a pretty straightforward solution. Are there any, go ahead, please.
I was just unmuting in case Griff wanted to say something.
Right. It seems like a pretty straightforward issue. Like there didn't seem to be much contention around, let's have a look at this. basically everybody who participated voted to sunset Giveth Trace.
Where'd you get?
So Amin paused some of the controls on the bridge, including making new deposits. And we know where to send the money that's left in there. And that seems like a logical first step. Go ahead, please.
Sorry, but the bridge is controlled by multisig, so.
Oh, we have to sign it to pause the contracts.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. Griff, are there enough signers available, right? Is the same multisig that we commonly use or not? It was an older one.
The older one. It's the older one.
Do we have signers available? You know.
Let me see who it is. Let me see. I'm pulling it up.
I know Andrew was. I was.
What we need is just somebody to own this, and just kind of PM it and make sure that we do all the right things.
I can do that. I mean, I was already kind of doing it anyway, overseeing, and I'm talking to Griff and Amin in the same place. It's easy.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. So then, are there any objections? Lauren owning it? Okay. So then I think we can just move this out of the governance call and just let Lauren make the decisions and coordinate with the right people. Sound good? Okay, great. Glad to hear. Creating a bug bounty vault. I can see the HATS finance rep has been very active in our Discord and forum. There's a poll here. Basically, this is just like using a third party to create a bug bounty for our DApp. And we put in liquidity, or what kind of liquidity? Is it like HATS and Give liquidity? And then we earn a yield in HATS tokens. And basically, whenever a bug bounty is reported, we pay them Give, I think. But anyway, this is just like a third party that would basically streamline and allow us to earn a yield while we have like an active bug bounty program. And so there's a poll here. We've got 5 voters for creating this bug bounty vault with HATS Finance. And I'm wondering if there's any objections or anything we need to discuss here.
Yeah. So we only got recently the message from Jimin, who commented above, with Bodhisattva, our security consultant in this case. I like his points. Well, if the community really, it seems like we really want those HATS tokens. Damn you, degens. I guess we can do a little more research. Like, I haven't read the latest response, so I still want to do that. But I guess we could. I mean, we don't have to go full in with this, and we could open a smaller one and test. But I guess with 5 voices here that like demand that we concern ourselves with this, we will get more into it and set something up. And then, of course, this is a feedback loop because it's basically concerning the DAO heavily because of funds. Yeah, we'll keep you updated.
Well, right now we already have some sort of rules around bounties, and we already pay people for reporting bounties, right?
Yeah, but this is different. So it's just. Yeah, the problem is the language is the same. So a bug bounty is a specific thing that is posted by projects like Uniswap has a bug bounty. Uniswap, like if you go to their page, it says you can get whatever, like 200k if you have like the highest category of vulnerability and you disclose something to them they don't know yet, and that could, be very bad for them if discovered by someone else or left open. And so the bug bounty is a specific bounty you put out, so people who find vulnerabilities in your things report to you and not exploit them yourself. So that's the difference between the other. The other one is a bounty ticket system where you have not random, but where you have, the more like task based. It's just the naming is the same.
Right. I think what I understand is one more is like an sort of an open invitation for people to find vulnerabilities and report them.
Mm-hmm. I mean, when you're active as a platform on the internet, that's where you invite people to, check out your stuff and, hack on it. And people will then, write to you and say, hey, I found something. And we can streamline this process. We actually started already and just had a little pause there because we had a full-on audit, and there were so many things that we put our own bug bounty on pause, but we actually prepared like a rules catalog and the information that should be there for people coming in with a vulnerability. And yes, definitely we will just pick that up. Audit is also passed now for 2 months, so we can start with this again and harvest. It's basically you just want to harvest this kind of action. You want to offer something, so the action that could be taken in bad faith is instead incentivized to be taken in good faith. We can talk about this also. Like, I'm happy to have a side session on this. And there's also security meeting every Thursday after a community meeting. Everyone's welcome for further questions.
Yeah, that's the same time as the Giveth call, unfortunately.
And we are very fluid, and we're happy to, meet at another time as well. Just
something I noticed that last week, actually.
I know it's because of the participants and their time
again.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, so for right now, would you appreciate it if people engaged more in the post or like voted in the poll?
Well, if somebody has a vote for the poll, sure. It's more like the discussion is interesting, and I mean we should have a general, I feel like, policy for approaching these, because we're getting invited left and right to be part of an ecosystem, and mostly it's services that are being sold to us in reality. And we are always opening ourselves up to more angles of attack. On the one side, on the other side, it is very important to interface with the ecosystem. This is just like a very small, like, it's usually like a specific service, and this one is targeted at security. That's why I'm talking. But Heather was before talking about the workDAO, and so more will come. And we should maybe have a good way of dealing with them, because it's very hard for us to assess the risk of inviting somebody. Because smart contracts are crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, anything that we put a bug bounty on has already been audited by somebody or a group.
That is hopefully, but I don't want to talk here at this point about this. I don't think we are fully audited, but most of our stuff is being audited, and at least if it's not like officially audited, we ask people to have a look.
Okay. So just to be clear, do you need any action to move forward on this?
Well, keep talking here. The security team, as I promised, will now look deeper into it and, get into the motion of setting it up. like I said, we don't have to post full on 100K bounty. We can start smaller, right? So that's probably what we'll do.
Great. All right. Well, we got 9 minutes left in the call, and there are some things left here. Published quarterly DAO stats. I threw this up on Friday. Basically asking if people think it would be worthwhile to publish some stats about our DAO on a quarterly basis, including some of these platforms here. Our Give DAO, Give Garden Snapshot Forum Token Log, and our main and liquidity multi-sigs. Looking at participation, engagement, and active voters. And it might help us actually tighten up some of our governance platforms or find any gaps in the way that we present our governance. So, and it'll probably take 10 to 15 hours quarterly to do. This might look like a forum post or a spreadsheet or a combination of either or. And just before anything actually starts, do people think that this would be useful to have?
I think it would be useful to have. I mean, generally when there's more data, we can maybe see things that we aren't aware of, like different trends. Yeah, and I think it's a reasonable amount of time that's done quarterly, and I don't think it'll detract value. I think it could potentially add value.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's really useful, especially if we want to ever consider changing our quorum or sunsetting a platform or something. We can see what's useful and what's not useful. It also adds value to from a communication standpoint to be this is how Giveth is DAOing, and then letting people know externally how we're doing DAO things and what we're learning, and then I think having metrics would be useful.
Yeah. I'm really interested to see if we're kind of operating in an echo chamber, or are we really getting signaling from people outside of our bubble of contributors? From our donors, from our projects, are they actually participating in the governance?
I think the one thing I would just add is there is something in me that's slightly averse to this. And I think the reason why is because I've spent most of my career in sales, where we had these dashboards put in front of the team on a regular basis, quarterly, monthly, where you go through engagement, number of calls that you made to clients and number of times you entered into the system and this and that. And we were measured on that often, which didn't exactly always correlate to value contributed. And I'm just saying, I think, I don't in theory have an issue with stats, but I think it depends also, what's the purpose behind it? And is it correlating also to evaluating people's performance? I think it's just can create a little bit of this atmosphere of okay, whoever writes in Discord the most is considered to be more engaged with Giveth, which may not necessarily be true, right? People have different working styles or different ways of engaging. Maybe other people are better at joining calls and engaging there than they are in the Discord. So I don't know, just kind of providing some context around that's just one thing I would bring up. But otherwise, yeah, I also agree with the other points made.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a great point. And I think the intention is not to push people to engage more, but to find out the quantity of people that are participating, I'd be interested to see in our forum, not specifically how much each person is engaging, but are people engaging outside of our bubble of contributors? Is it just us talking to ourselves on the forum, or are we actually getting more people involved?
Yeah, for sure. I agree. It also gives you that information.
Yeah. And then the more controversial part is we've been giving out give quarterly to eligible people, and like I was telling this to Heather and a few other people, it's like the more tokens we mint, the harder it is to pass things, like the higher our quorum is. Maybe we find out that like, you know, people are just asking for give and then never voting. Like maybe we have to decide like how we deal with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Lots of
makes sense.
things down the road, but I think having the information might lead us to more insights, but I'm interested what everyone else thinks. So go ahead and check out the forum post, and we'll start some discussion there and vote in the poll. 4 minutes left. Paid time off for hourly contributors. Do you want to talk about this for a few minutes, Rochelle?
Yeah, sure. There's just an updated poll in the forum post. So initially the minimum number of hours to be eligible is 80 hours per month, but then feedback from Suga and Mitch is that it's more appropriate to have 75 hours per month. So there's a new poll in there, and if you agree or not with the minimum number of hours, so you can vote on there. And there are other details in the proposal. For example, if an hourly contributor stops working for works for less than 75 hours for that month, then the hours for that month won't earn any paid time off credits. So yeah, those are just some important guideline or conditions there. So if you have any comments or other suggestions, it would really be appreciated.
Okay, so you'd like us to engage on this last poll?
Yeah, and
Okay.
if like all other conditions are good, so that I could start going through the hours worked for the hourly contributors, so I could compute for their paid time off.
Great. All right, thanks, Rochelle. Last thing I heard from the check-ins was Almond's role proposal. Do you want to talk about that?
Sure, absolutely. I'm kind of like safe that. Yeah, so yesterday I posted my role proposal for everyone to check it out, to drop your feedback, comments. I reviewed this with Ashley already, so I would love if you can just chime in and share some thoughts around. And yeah, thank you.
Cool. All right. Well, that pretty much takes us to the top. Some PSAs here. I'll just go through them real quick. The Give distribution is set to end on November 2nd, so make sure you get that in. Buddy reviews, make sure those happen. Self-review form, the contributor feedback form, fill those out. And in the praise, we're still looking for more quantifiers to get rolling the praise upgrade. Franco says there's 16, but we need at least 20 to get started. So that's super important. So if you want to get that ball rolling, and especially if you've been around in Giveth for a while, consider signing up as a quantifier and helping us quantify praise.
And exactly how do we sign up to be quantifiers?
There is a rewards channel. I think that's somewhere near the top. There's so many darn channels. Franco started a rewards channel, and I think in there you can just tag him if you would like to be part of the quantification process. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, I can see Griff already found it. Nice. Cool. Well, then we are at the top of the call, so make sure you just engage in everything we talked about today in the forum, and as well vote on some stuff in the Give DAO and the Give Garden. And we'll do this more or less at the same time next week. An hour later, an hour ahead. We'll see what happens. And have a great day.
Thanks, Mitch.